We get hype. Let's go.
Stop it. Like the kid got bars. Little Baby got bars. Like those kids, they might be grumble, mumble, trap, but those kids are MCs. And I was talking to Bun B about this too. Like if you get to a place in your life where 98% of the people are here. Once you, 98% of the world, not even the world, once you get past 30, you stop listening to new music. Less than 2% of the world looks for new music. Once you turn 30, whatever you listen to from 10 years old to 30 that you fell in love with, that's what you listen to.
That's true.
Period. Whether it's Bob Dylan and then from 31 to whatever, you just to buy new Bob Dylan records, or it's whatever. I listen to everything. Like I alt rock. There's a band, Pom Pom Squad, Monsters, Tennis, Monsters. Like I listen to everything.
So let me ask you this. So you're born, raised in Far Rockaway, correct?
Yep.
How was it for you growing up in Far Rockaway? That's number one. And number two, I hear that you're going to be writing for The Wave. Shout out to Mark Keeley, my boy. But how was it first? Let me get that. How was it being raised in Far Rockaway? And what part of Far Rockaway was you in? Were you raised up in?
So I was on Virginia and Beach Ninth, like on Almont Road, right down the block from Redfern Project. I went to PS 197. I went to IS 53. So I was at the corner store all the time. My best friend lived in those buildings across the street from IS 53. I spent most of my days in Redfern Projects with my best friends that grew up there. But I went to high school in music and art. So I take the A.
That's my school.
Yeah. I took the A train to 125th Street and hopped on the 1 to 135th and Convent. And I was the first graduating class of LaGuardia School of the Arts, class 85. But, growing up in Far Rockaway was, it was, I mean, it's nothing short of amazing. Like it was great. But it was tough. A lot of people didn't really understand what Far Rockaway was. It was really bizarre. Like, even if you were from Queens, Far Rockaway, we had a nickname back in the day. I don't know if it's still stuck. We used to call Far Rockaway Alcatraz. Like that's what our nickname was for it back in the day. Yeah, because
I'm a Brooklyn person. I only been out here for like 20 years, but I heard that term so many times out here.
Yeah, we call it Alcatraz because there's only one way on and one way off.
Yep.
So we and when you go to meet, like, when I was young and I'd be in the city and I'd be like, yo, I live in Far Rockaway. They look at me like, where is that? Like Connecticut? Like Jersey? I'm like, nah, it's in Queens. How do you get there? I mean, how you get there? You ever been on the A train? Yeah, you mean the A train to Lefferts? No, the A train to Far Rockaway. The A train goes to Far Rockaway? Like, yeah, the A train, first of all, it's the longest train on the subway system. It's the furthest train. Writing for The Wave, the other thing you talked about, man, like, when my father passed, he used to always tell me you can't live at a community, you have to live in a community. And I always felt like, when my father, it wasn't an if, it was a when. He was in hospice. I had to figure out a way to give back. Like I just had to figure a way, my father was involved in so much stuff in the Rockaway Council. He was the president of Rockaway Council. He was president of Rockaway JCC. He was the president of, Federation.
He was president of JCC?
Yep. Yeah.
What's your father's name?
Mervyn Barron. When he lived out there. So for me, it was like, it's just a small thing. Like he loved The Wave. We grew up on that. Like I delivered The Wave as a kid, so, it was one of those things where for me, there's so much history of hip hop that comes out of Far Rockaway and the Rockaways that people don't know about. My first article that's coming out this week is about the connection that Shock G had to Far Rockaway. So, you know, and I buried my man yesterday. So like, you know, there's a lot of things about hip hop. And the article is called Hip Hop from the Rock. And just telling stories about like not only new artists, but artists that, you know, are from the early days that people need to recognize and pay homage to.
Man, that's a good thing. How did you link up to, it was Mark Healy, right?
No, my man Matt Caputo.
Okay.
Matt Caputo and I know Matt since he was the editor-in-chief of Slam Magazine. So Matt and I have been friends for a long time. And then when I was working on the podcast, we were doing press and we were talking about that. And I was like, let me see what my man's up to. And I sent him the press release on the Kane podcast, but more importantly on the Timeless Podcast Company and the joint venture we did with Sony. And he was like, yo, I'm at the Wave. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm at the Wave. I was like, dude, you got to do a piece on me in the Wave. My father he'd lose his mind. Yeah, man. And so me and Mark we did the podcast and we were just kicking it. And then, about 2 weeks later, my pops died. And I was like, yo, what do you guys think about me writing an article, in honor of my dad, and they were like, yo, let's do it. So that's how it got started.
You definitely do it, man. And definitely my condolences to you and the family.
All of us.
Thank
you.
Your father. I definitely have to ask you this. Just dealing with, okay, I'm gonna say hip hop, rap, like just in this state, the behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know about the behind the scenes of dealing with this industry. This is a crazy industry, but what advice can you give to those that's trying to get into this business, that's in this business already, as a rookie? What advice can you give to them in dealing with certain things that go on in this business that they might face, certain things they need to avoid? What advice can you give?
I mean, the two biggest pieces of advice I give people is A, get a great lawyer. Period. Make sure your team has the best lawyer that you can afford. And B, save your money. Save your money. Don't think that this career is going to be forever. Think about secondary and tertiary ways of utilizing and making money. If you're in it to just make music, that's great. Make music all day. But if you're in it to make a career, again, the music is a business, then you need to understand that this is exactly what it is. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And to be properly protected in this business, you need a lawyer, like a really good lawyer. That's A. And B, you need to just save your money, because I can tell you firsthand, man, what happened with Black Rob is a travesty.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a travesty. That never should have happened. So just, be smart. Just because you're affiliated, and again, I don't care if it's Blood, Crip, whatever, just because you're affiliated, your homeboys ain't your managers. Homeboy management loses every time. So keep your homeboys where they need to be in pocket. But if you're going into business, get a manager. Keep your homeboys where they are and get a manager, get a lawyer, get a social media person, get a PR person. Like, if you're going to be in the business, get in the business. I heard something amazing. I heard Sweetie on Shade 45. She's talking to Swaggy C. And she said, what was your biggest investment? Sweetie said, I just invested in a media coach, in a media team. She said, what does that mean? She said, well, I invested in someone who is a vocal coach to help me with my diaphragm, to help me with that. I invested in someone to help me with my dancing. I invested in someone who's helping me in picking out the right tracks. Her own money invested in all of these things. She invested in a media team. This girl might have been the smartest shit I ever heard a rapper ever say.
That's right.
Sweetie might be the real one. She might be for real. Like she really might be for real. Like she's a former track star. She's like, you know, she's an athlete. Like she understands what it takes to win. Like you might look at her and say, okay, she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. She makes this music, whatever. She might be Jay-Z. Mark the date, mark the time. Like she might be Jay-Z. Because
what does it take?
I mean, it's really. I mean, it really.
What would your definition be?
I think that to be a winner. So there's different. You know, look, I've been involved in a lot of things that have won on a lot of different levels.
Because you're a winner. Hands down.
I appreciate that.
You have accomplished. So that's why I want to. I think others could follow in your footsteps. What would be your definition? What was your secret?
You know what? I don't know if it was a secret or not. I was really. Have you ever read The Laws of Attraction?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just really fortunate, man. Like people came around me in different places that just, we gravitated toward each other. Like, you know, Russell coming up to me at a battle and saying, like, if anybody asks you, you sign a Def Jam. You know, Nas coming to see me at the studio, you know, came to me, OC, you know, doing Word Life, doing Illmatic, you know, Mark Echo and I'm, you know, connecting and building Echo Unlimited. Like, I feel like, to me, the definition of a winner is someone who thinks outside the box, doesn't allow the people, places, and things to label them as something specific. I think that they are flexible and nimble. They're able to easily adapt to whatever's going on. They make key changes and decisions, not just in personnel, but in how they move. In crucial times, they don't sit still. In times of important challenges, and they are constantly evolving. That's what a winner is. When you're like water, you can't be stopped. Like when you're like water, you can't be stopped. You know, when you find yourself in positions or situations where you are the same year after year, decade after decade, and you're not making headway, that's because you are not winning. You might be surviving, but you're not winning. Winning is about being flexible. I was just telling somebody this, like, yo, Mike Tyson standing, I got two people in front of me, Mike Tyson and a yogi. Yogi's 60 years old, Yogi, and Mike Tyson, they both want to fight me. I'm fighting Mike Tyson. Because when Mike comes at me, I know exactly where those punches are coming from. He's gonna hurt me, but I'm a heel. He's gonna hurt me, but I know where those punches are coming from. A yogi, he's gonna bend me in places I didn't even know existed. He's so flexible, he's got control of his body. He's gonna bend me in places my body might never recover. It's about flexibility. It ain't the strong who survives, it's the flexible.
On that note, I'm gonna have to stop on that note. That was powerful right there. There is no more questions.